Most people are not trapped by circumstance. They are trapped by permission, by unwritten rules, invisible contracts, unspoken codes, whispered by the culture around them that say, don't go too far, don't rise too high, don't outgrow what raised you. So they don't, not because they lack potential, but because they were trained to fear their own expansion. Your environment isn't just where you live. It's what you breathe. It's in the jokes people make about success, the way they look at ambition like it's arrogance, the way mediocrity gets praised and progress gets questioned. And slowly, that environment becomes a ceiling, a cage you can't see, a rhythm you never chose, but one you've learned to dance to. And here's the brutal truth. If you never confront it, you'll never escape it, because you can't outgrow what you're still trying to belong to. You can't evolve while trying to be accepted by people committed to staying the same. You can't build something legendary while playing by rules written by the average. This is why most people never outgrow their environment, because growth is lonely at first. You'll be called fake. You'll be told you've changed. You'll be warned to stay humble, to remember where you came from, as if evolution is betrayal. But you are not here to keep people comfortable. You are here to become dangerous to limitation. And that danger begins in your mind, because your mindset is the first border your environment tries to build. Who do you think you are? What makes you different? Why can't you just be satisfied? That's the language of containment. That's how people defend their smallness, by attacking your growth. And if you don't have a fortified mindset, you'll start to believe them. You'll start to think something's wrong with your hunger. You'll start to downplay your wins. You'll self-sabotage just to feel normal again. You'll shrink back into the box you were told was safe, but was actually a coffin for your calling. But mindset rewrites the rules. Mindset says, I'm not here to fit in. I'm here to become who I was born to be. Mindset says, growth is not rebellion, it's responsibility. Because if you don't grow, you don't just let yourself down. You let everyone who needed your example sink with you. This is where belief comes in. The belief that you deserve to expand, that you can love your past without living in it, that you can honor your roots without rotting in them, that you don't owe your environment loyalty at the expense of your legacy. Most people never leave the mental city they were raised in. But you were built to migrate, built to step beyond familiar, built to trade comfort for clarity. And when clarity sets in, your vision ignites. Not someone else's vision, yours. The one that kept you up at night, the one that made you restless in rooms where everyone else was content, the one that whispered to you when the noise faded. There's more, there's more, there's more. And now that vision becomes your compass. And once you have a vision, the walls of your environment begin to tremble, because vision demands movement. It breaks routines. It offends complacency. It threatens every system built to keep you small. And that's when purpose steps in. Because if vision is your map, purpose is your fuel. It's what makes you keep going when the environment turns against you. It's what makes you walk away from applause to protect your alignment. It's what keeps you from negotiating your future for temporary approval. Purpose makes it personal. It says, this isn't about being better than them, it's about being better than who I was told I had to be. It's about building something so real, so true, so deeply you, that the environment no longer defines you. You define it. And that's where discipline begins. Discipline isn't just about routines. It's about refusal. Refusal to become another echo of your surroundings. Refusal to let where you are decide where you're going. Refusal to trade your fire for comfort. And when that discipline becomes your default action, follows. Because once discipline becomes your rhythm, action becomes your anthem. You no longer move like someone waiting for permission. You move like someone who's remembered who they were before the world told them to dim it down, remembered the fire that existed before the opinions, before the approval, Before the fear, you act, not just because it's time, but because it's truth. And when action becomes truth, your environment loses its grip. It no longer owns your pace. It no longer sets your temperature. You become the thermostat in every room you walk into. You raise the temperature. You raise the tone. You raise the standard. You don't adapt to the room. You transform it. Because now, your life isn't reactive. It's revolutionary. Your decisions are deliberate. Your energy is intentional. Your moves are backed by conviction, not convenience. And when the winds shift, because they always do, you adapt. But not like the old version of you. Not like the one who bent to survive. You pivot to evolve. You move with strategy, not scarcity. You adjust your sails, not your standards. Because adaptability is not weakness. It is weaponized wisdom. It is the ability to outlast your surroundings by outgrowing them. Because resilience is your new name. You are not fragile. You are forged. Forged in resistance. Forged in rejection. Forged in the silent battles that no one applauded. And because of that, you do not break, you build. Even when it hurts. Even when you're tired. Even when the environment tells you to turn back. You keep walking. Because the strongest thing you ever built wasn't a career. Wasn't a brand. Wasn't even a legacy. It was your internal fortress. And that fortress is protected by learning. Not memorization, but transformation through experience. You don't just consume information, you apply it. You don't just listen, you adapt. You don't just nod, you execute. Because now you realize the most dangerous person in any environment is the one who learns faster than their surroundings can limit them. And now you've become that person. You no longer fear outgrowing people. You no longer fear offending those who chose comfort over calling. You no longer fear becoming too much, because too much is exactly what this world needs. Too much clarity, too much truth, too much fire, too much you. So let them talk. Let them whisper. Let them say, you've changed. And you'll smile, because now you know. Most people never outgrow their environment. But you didn't just outgrow it. You outlived it. You outlasted it. And you outbuilt it. Not because it was easy, but because you finally understood you were never meant to fit the room. You were meant to redefine it. And now you carry the proof in your posture. You walk like someone who has nothing left to prove, only something to become. Then stand tall, breathe deep, because this is the moment everything that came before meant something. The silence, the struggle, the friction of trying to expand in a space built to contain you. It all brought you here, to this edge, to this line in the sand, where the old you watches as the new you steps forward, not with apology, with authority. You are no longer the one waiting to be picked. You are no longer the one begging for a green light. You are no longer the one who drowns in the opinions of people too afraid to climb. You are the one who left, the one who heard the calling and answered, the one who stood at the gates of your old life. And instead of knocking again, you built a new door. You are the one who chose evolution over ego. You are the one who realized that staying small to keep the peace is violence against your destiny. And now you carry that truth like a torch, not to burn bridges, but to light the path for others still trapped in the environment you escaped. Because this isn't just about you anymore. This is about the next soul watching, the next life in the shadow of your legacy, the next voice waiting for permission to roar. And you are that permission. You are the proof that you can outgrow your upbringing, that you can outlive your labels, that you can outmaneuver the gravity of the familiar and fly anyway. And when they ask, how? When they look at your life and wonder how you built it from nothing, you won't give them a secret. You'll give them a sentence. I stopped waiting for my environment to change. and I changed instead. Because that's all it takes. Not perfection, not applause, not even support. Just one decision to rise. One vow to never again abandon your potential to protect someone else's comfort. One choice to believe. I am not what raised me. I am not what shaped me. I am what I choose to become, day by day, belief by belief, action by relentless action. Because now, you've outgrown more than your environment. You've outgrown every excuse that ever lived in your mouth. You've outgrown the need to be understood. You've outgrown the version of you that was scared to be seen. Now, you're undeniable. Because the most powerful thing a human can ever do is walk away from what built them, not with bitterness, but with mastery. So walk. Walk with fire. Walk with grace. Walk with the certainty that your environment no longer defines you. You define everything around you. And from this moment forward, you are not a product of your surroundings. You are the standard that shifts the world, and the world will feel it. It will feel the presence of someone who no longer shrinks, someone who doesn't ask if they're allowed, someone who doesn't trade their voice for comfort or their future for familiarity. Because when you outgrow your environment, you don't just leave a room, you change your gravity. People start to orbit you differently. Opportunities respond. Time expands. Resources appear not because they were missing, but because you stopped hiding from your own vibration. That's the secret no one tells you. Your new level of life has always been waiting, not behind some door you had to find, but behind the frequency you had to become. And now, you are that frequency. You are the storm that clears the old. You are the wind that bends the branches of stagnation. You are the shift that makes people whisper. Something changed. I don't know what it is, but they're not the same anymore. And they're right. You're not, because you stopped worshiping where you came from and started honoring where you're going. And there will be moments when you miss the old sounds, the familiar laughter, the rhythm of the rooms you left behind. But you'll look down at your hands, at what you've built, at who you've become, and realize it was worth it. Every step, every doubt, every silent season where no one understood you. It wasn't a punishment. It was preparation. Preparation for the kind of life that doesn't just break cycles. It builds kingdoms. And you are the architect now, not of a perfect life, but of a powerful one. One where your environment no longer limits you. It learns from you. One where your beliefs no longer betray you. They build you. One where your story is no longer a weight, but a weapon. Because this is what it means to live fully. Not to be admired, not to be accepted, but to be aligned. And once you are aligned, once your philosophy, your purpose, your actions, and your energy all move in one direction, you are unstoppable. Not because the world agrees, but because you're no longer asking it to. You are here, you are clear, and you are done explaining. You've outgrown it all. And from this moment on, you don't lower your voice. You raise your vision. You don't shrink to fit. You expand to lead. You don't just escape your environment. You rewrite what's possible in it. Because you were never meant to stay small. You were meant to stand tall enough for others to remember that they can grow too. You are not just a product of change. You are the proof that it's possible. The rain doesn't ask permission before it falls. The sun doesn't need applause to rise. And you were not born to be a spectator of your own life. You were not made to drift in circles, to echo excuses, to recite the story others handed to you, and call it fate. You were made to choose. You are not a product of what happened to you. You are not the echo of your environment. You are not the final result of your upbringing, your city, your job title, or your trauma. You are a product of decision, and the decisions you refuse to make, they are building your life. as much as the ones you do. Every indecision is a decision. Every hesitation is a direction. Every time you say, I don't know, you've just chosen nothing, and nothing compounds just as fast as something. You see, most people are waiting for better conditions, waiting for more clarity, waiting for some invisible sign that says, now it's your time. But life doesn't work that way. Life doesn't bend for those who hesitate. It only opens to those who decide, those who stand at the crossroads and say, I don't care if I'm scared. I don't care if I'm uncertain. I choose, because that is where power lives. Not in knowing, not in feeling ready, but in deciding anyway. Decision is a blade. It cuts through confusion. It slices away the lies. It tells your future. I am no longer at the mercy of circumstance. I am the maker now. Because let me tell you the truth. Circumstance is not your ceiling. It is your starting line. And the only thing standing between where you are and where you could be is the decision you keep avoiding. The decision to speak, to leave, to stay, to begin, to let go, to rise again. Because the decisions you make in silence will scream louder than any storm you face. Your job is not to know everything. It is not to feel perfect. It is not to have every step mapped. Your job is to decide to move and let movement show you who you are becoming. Because decision is more than a mental shift. It is a soul contract. It is the moment you stop renting your life and start owning it. So what do you believe? Do you believe you are too broken? Too far behind? Too late? That is a decision. And decisions are choices of belief. You can choose differently. You can say, today, I stop blaming what built me. Today, I choose to build myself. You can say, I will no longer major in minor things. I will no longer chase distraction. I will no longer be a victim of a life I refuse to author, because the pen is still in your hand. And the question is not whether you're capable. The question is whether you're willing to pay the price of clarity, willing to face the friction of discipline, willing to risk failure for the possibility of freedom. You see, decision isn't just about progress. It's about identity, because every decision you make either confirms who you used to be or commits you to who you're becoming. Every day, you get to decide which version of you lives another 24 hours. And the beautiful, brutal truth, that decision is always yours. So yes, let's go deeper. Let's pull the mask off of mindset, because mindset is not some feel-good buzzword. It is the operating system of your life. It's not what you say you believe when things are going well. It's what you do when everything breaks. And most people, they've outsourced their mindset to circumstance. They feel good when the money flows. They feel strong when they're applauded. They feel certain when the path is smooth. But that's not mindset. That's momentum disguised as meaning. Real mindset, it's forged in friction. It's what whispers, we keep going when everything else says stop. It's what says, I choose to see this failure as feedback. I choose to see this delay as data. I choose to see this pain as preparation. Because mindset is a decision, not an emotion, not a personality trait, a choice made daily. And the core of that mindset, belief, not blind belief, not fake confidence, but a grounded, earned, unshakable belief that says, I was not born to drift. I was not built for average. I may have come from circumstance, but I am rising by decision. Belief is the most powerful decision you'll ever make, because your belief becomes your biology. It becomes your behavior. It becomes your reality. And every time you say, I'm not that kind of person, you reinforce the chain that's keeping you bound. But when you say, what if I am? You crack the door to a new life wide open. You see, the story you believe, is the life you build. And when belief shifts, everything follows. But belief alone is not enough. You must back it with discipline, because a decision without discipline is just another daydream. Discipline is the declaration that says, my actions don't answer to how I feel. They answer to who I decided to be. Discipline is not punishment. It's not self-denial. It's self-respect. It's the daily demonstration that says, I'm serious about my future. Serious enough to say no to what's easy. Serious enough to build routines that protect my identity, not just my comfort. And the moment discipline locks in, your calendar changes. Your circle tightens. Your words sharpen. Your time becomes sacred. Because now, you don't live by emotion. You live by alignment. And the discipline becomes freedom. Because now, you don't need motivation. You are motivation. You don't ask for clarity, you walk in it. You don't seek validation. You are the standard. This is what decision looks like in motion. Clarity without apology. Conviction without compromise. Consistency without noise. Because this is where your life begins to take form. Not in theory, but in movement. Because decision without action is just noise. Just another thought trapped in your head. Another dream unbuilt. Another potential locked behind someday. But you are not here to wait for someday. You are here to build today. And action is sacred. Action doesn't care how scared you are. It doesn't care how confused you feel. Action only asks one thing. Will you move anyway? Because every action is a vote for who you're becoming. Every workout, every morning you rise before the sun. Every time you say no to what's easy and yes to what's aligned, you are casting a vote for the future that's already calling your name. This is how change compounds. Not by magic, not by motivation, by motion, by doing what others delay, by building when no one's watching, by moving in the dark until the results scream so loud the world can't ignore you anymore. But even action must learn to adapt, because the plan will break. Life will shift. Storms will come, and you will have to bend without breaking. This is where adaptability is born. Not in comfort, but in your willingness to evolve. You stop being romantic about the route. You fall in love with the destination, and you learn how to pivot without losing your posture. Because being adaptable doesn't mean being passive. It means being strategic. You don't give up. You adjust. You don't fall apart. You refocus. You don't shrink. You sharpen. That's resilience. Not bouncing back. Bouncing forward. Resilience says, throw what you want at me. I'll build with it. Resilience isn't about avoiding the fall. It's about choosing what you do when you hit the ground. Most people fall and get bitter. You fall and get better. Because now you're a learner. You study pain. You study mistakes. You study yourself. You know that every challenge is a course, and every setback holds a syllabus of truth. You become obsessed with growth, because the moment you stop learning is the moment you start dying. But now you're alive. Now you are awake. And now you're becoming unbreakable. Because when learning is your lifestyle, there is no loss, only leveling up. So what happens next? You integrate. You don't just do different things. You become someone new. And now you've stopped reacting to life. You've rewritten it. Then let's bring it home. Because this is no longer a speech. It's a summoning. A summoning of the version of you that was buried beneath fear, beneath noise, beneath the illusion that life just happens. You know better now. You know that life doesn't happen to you. It happens through you, through what you decide, through what you repeat, through what you believe when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when no one even understands what you're building, because most won't. They won't understand why you disappear to build, why you say no to the weekend, why you stay quiet in rooms that once defined you, why your old excuses no longer work on you. But that's okay. You weren't born to be understood. You were born to understand yourself, and now you do. You understand that discipline is your language. You understand that action is your native tongue. You understand that failure is just feedback, and resistance is the gym where greatness is carved. You understand that belief is not optional. It's oxygen. And now, final, you've decided. You've decided that your life is not a fluke. You've decided that you are not a side character. You've decided that you are not your fears, your doubts, or your past. You are not a product of your environment. You are not a statistic. You are not a shadow of what could have been. You are a product of decision, and decision is destiny made visible. So now you walk different. You speak different. You live different. Not because life got easier, but because you got clearer. Clear about who you are. Clear about what you're building. Clear about what you'll no longer tolerate from the world, from others, from yourself. And that clarity, that decision, that alignment, that's the frequency where everything changes. Because when your philosophy changes, your actions follow. And when your actions change, your outcomes follow. And when your outcomes change, the world responds, not by accident, but by design. Your design, the design that started the moment you said, I am no longer waiting. I am no longer blaming. I am no longer negotiating with smallness. From this day forward, I am no longer a product of circumstance. I am the product of decision. And now the world has no choice but to rise to meet you